Welcome back to the Adventures in Raisin Grands, The Lowdown. On this episode tonight, we're going to be talking about children's exposure to meth. What is meth? How are children exposed? The signs and the symptoms, and what can we do to help? Remember to like, subscribe, and share this channel. Somebody out there that you know may need to see this. What is meth? Methamphetamine is a strong, highly addictive, central nervous system stimulant. It differs from other drugs because it's synthetically made. It's processed by using chemicals and materials. Meth can be injected, snorted, smoked, and swallowed. How does it work? Meth works by releasing a hormone called dopamine into your system. This hormone creates a euphoric feeling, a great feeling of well-being. It gives them extra confidence. Meth is cheaper than most other drugs, as well as it lasts longer. This is why meth is one of the most popular drugs out today. The side effects of meth for the user can be a strong addiction and a quick addiction, as well as it causes insomnia and a decrease in reaction time. In large doses, though, it can cause death as well as stroke, convulsions, overheating. Physical side effects of meth include weak muscles, tremors, seizures, weight loss, kidney damage, heart damage, dental decay, which is often referred to as meth mouth, a dry cough, brain damage, liver damage, and damage to your skin that causes sores. Other side effects of meth can be a loss of recall. They lose their ability to recognize people and places. They also tend to live in their own reality. They have a loss of reality. They ignore information that's given to them and only choose to do what they want to do. Meth can cause the users not only to have insomnia, but also anxiety, mood disorders, aggression, hallucinations, delusions, paranoia, homicidal, and suicidal thoughts. Meth causes damage to your brain, even after only a few months of use. It's often very similar to those of patients that are suffering from Alzheimer's disease. Because meth can also cause strokes and epilepsy, meth can cause social issues as well, such as violence, criminal activity, domestic violence, child abuse, as well as child neglect, and sexual abuse. Withdrawal. When people are going through withdrawal from using meth, they often go through depression, have extreme fatigue, aggression, anxiety, the paranoia, and they have intense cravings for more. I'd like to tell you a little story about the fatigue. On Christmas, when we first got custody of our little group, Bio mom and dad came over, AD and DD, were sitting on the couch playing with their phones when they started falling asleep. Neither one of them could seem to stay awake. And when we questioned them, AD decided to tell us that he was pretty sure that they caught narcolepsy. Let that sink in. Because I'm pretty sure that narcolepsy is not contagious. This is just a good way to show that they do live in their own reality. When meth users are recovering, they tend to show improvement in their cognitive abilities after just 3 months. And after 4 years, it's said that they can be healed. That's 4 years of complete abstinence from meth. They show a high success rate after only 9 months. How children are exposed to meth. Now we know that these children in our homes did not pick up those needles and they did not snort the meth. So how were they exposed to it? A lot of them were exposed prenatally. And another section of them were exposed to them by living in a home who was either a meth house, sold meth, made meth, or used meth. There's a residue that's given off from when meth is used or made, and that residue tends to coat everything in the home. These children, when crawling on the floor or touching their belongings, get the residue on their hands, and then they put their hands in their mouth, and they are testing positive when they're coming out of these homes for meth. Our little monkey, when he first came to us, licked everything. We couldn't figure out why he kept licking everything. Come to find out, when I did this research, I realized I think that he was looking for the meth. I think he was using the residue in his home to self-medicate himself, to get through his situation and help himself with his ADHD without really knowing what he was doing. It took about 3 months for him to stop licking everything. He licked floors, he licked tables, he even licked a display case at a store. Very odd, different behavior. But that's sometimes what happens with these children coming out of meth homes. They don't know what kind of behavior is acceptable. The side effects of children exposed to meth prenatally is low birth weight, as well as a small head circumference. Many are born premature and have all the difficulties that go along with that, as well as heart problems, digestive issues, which tend to be like colic. They go through withdrawal, which can last up to 6 months, which often has tremors. These infants are often very hard to comfort. They have sensory issues, as well as issues to light and touch and sound. They tend to have developmental delays. Our little sunshine had so many different developmental delays. We started her an early head start when she was just about 6 months old because she wasn't reaching her milestones. Usually, when a baby is born addicted to meth, the mother has had no prenatal care as well, and this can cause other issues. The side effects of meth on preschool and school-aged children are as follows. But first, I would like to say that these infants that were exposed prenatally will grow to be these preschool and school-aged children, so they will have the same side effects as they get older. Normally, at about the age 4.5, children are tested. And when children that have been exposed to meth are tested, they often show low test scores, as well as learning disabilities. They have cognitive issues and behavior problems. They also show a lot of developmental delays, even as they get older. Meth affects a part of your brain that deals with your ability to learn and your memory, as well as motor control, motivation, and your impulse control. This is why children exposed to meth have so many issues with learning and impulse control, as well as their developmental delays because their motor skills are slower. Many children who've been exposed to meth have sensory issues and are often diagnosed with ADHD and OCD. They can also be diagnosed with autism and be on the spectrum anywhere from autistic to Asperger's. Some side effects that these children have are not because of the meth, but because of the treatment that they received while living in that home from their parents. Side effects that could include malnourished, unsupervised, especially during their crashes. This is when our little monkey was out wandering the streets and almost got hit by a car because his parents were asleep and could not be woken up. They could digest the drugs, which can often cause very serious medical issues and even death. They're exposed to violence, and they could even be exposed to sexual violence and sexual situations. They're neglected and abused, which is what gives them some of the developmental delays, because they have lack of stimulation and lack of socialization. How can we help these children? This is what we need to know. And the most important part is to get early intervention. Early intervention is the key to helping these children. Because there's no long-term studies on the effects, there's no exact treatment for these children. But we do know that it's similar to those that are exposed to alcohol and other drugs. These children need to have lots of nurturing and caring. They need to be in a calm and peaceful, a safe place. They don't need to be around loud noises, controlling people, or have many demands put on them. We need to remember that these children need to have physical contact. They need to be hugged. They need to have eye contact. You need to get down on their level. Get down on your knees so you can look at them in the eye. Treat them like a person. They may never have been treated that way before. Be sure that you're meeting their emotional and their physical needs, not just giving them a house to live in and clothes to wear, but you're also meeting those emotional needs that they need. Giving them that care and those hugs and the nurturing. These children are going through something that we can't even imagine. They may be going through grief or loss, and we need to let them know that that's okay to have those feelings. They need to know that you can help them with those feelings. They may be having issues with their identity. They may not know who they are anymore. They may have lost their role in the family. Maybe they were once the youngest and now they're the oldest in the home. They're confused. Make sure that you're very clear with them. Help them to understand what their roles are in the home and what their new identity is. With these children, we need to make sure that we educate or re-educate them to what's appropriate. What's appropriate at home, what's appropriate at school, and what's appropriate in the community. Some of these children may not have been to school. They may not have been out in the community. They may not understand what's appropriate, such as picking your nose. Where is it okay to pick your nose? Or a situation that we had, it is not okay to use the median at Walmart to use the bathroom. Yes, that happened. Because that's where they were always told to just go. So he just went. Without knowing what the clear rules are, how can we expect them to understand? How can we expect them to know what to do? So we need to make sure that we're very clear and we have very predictable rules, and that we make sure that they understand them and they can repeat them back to us if they can talk. Make sure that you have very solid routines and stick to that routine. Schedules are extremely important, especially in our house. If Monkey gets off schedule, we're all off schedule, and the day seems very long. That's just to put it that way. Make sure that your child feels safe. It's so important for them to have a safe place. Keep your home their safe place. Don't allow strangers that they don't know to come in. And I would suggest that you not even do visitations at your home. Keep your home a safe place for them. And don't force your child to have interactions with people that make them uncomfortable. That's very controlling, and that's just going to make them go back inside themselves. As the children are living with you, you start to recognize their stress signals, whether it be crying or acting out in different ways. Depending on the age of the child, as an infant, it could just be something as simple as crying, but you tend to recognize what the crying means. Find something that soothes them, whether it be a special blanket or an activity. With an infant, it could be something like swaddling. Our little Sunshine, we had to constantly wrap up as our little burrito. And we only had one blanket that she liked to have it done in, so we had to make sure that it was clean. And if she spat up on it, we washed it really fast because the burrito was the only thing that soothed her. So make sure you find that thing. Find what works for you and your child. And make sure that it's something that's age appropriate. Age appropriateness is very important. And that's what we're leading into when children are removed from homes that have meth in them. They often have to leave all of their belongings behind. Most likely when they came to you, they came with nothing. Some of them didn't even come with the clothes they left the house with. So make sure that you replace those items. Replace them with age-appropriate items as well. And if there was something special, such as a teddy bear that they were very close to, try to find something that is similar so that they feel like they have something from home. Show compassion to these children. You have no idea what they have been through, and a lot of them can't even tell you what all they've been through. So make sure that you have empathy. Be empathetic. Show compassion. Not only be compassionate, but also be consistent. Be calm and be predictable. They need you to be predictable. Make sure that your child has a support team. A support team is very important. Kind of like your support system, but it's for them. Their team can be made up of anyone who cares about them, such as their teachers at school or counselors, people from your religious organization, other family members, yourself, your spouse, and even older brothers and sisters. These are the people that are going to help support them. These children need help with their self-esteem as well. Most of the children don't have high self-esteems, and you need to help them to build a positive self-esteem. The younger that they build that self-esteem up, the better it off is for them. Make sure that you're respecting your child's privacy. Please do not overshare their story. Not everyone needs to know everything. It is an adds to need to know basis. So if they don't need to know, you don't need to tell them. Such as the secretary at school doesn't need to know the whole story. The teacher may need to know some stories so that she can help you. And the counselor may need to know parts of the child's story. But the lunch lady does not need to know any part of the child's story unless it has to do with food. So make sure that you are only telling the story to the people that need to know. If the child wants others to know their story, let them be the one to tell it. Be sure to advocate for your child, medically and educationally. Learn the IEP language. We're going to have an episode on that soon, so make sure that you stay tuned. Help your child to be successful in at least one activity, whether it be in sports or arts and crafts, or at school. Celebrate with them any success, any talent that they have. Make them feel positive about it. That's something that will help them in the long run. And something that you need to accept is that there may be some areas that no matter how good of a parent you are, you just can't fix it. Just know that you need to educate and advocate and do the best that you can. We have learned to accept the unknown, and we live one day at a time. Some days we live 5 minutes at a time. On the really tough ones, we can do anything for 1 minute. That is the way that my family gets through hard times. When my son was in boot camp, he literally made it through boot camp 1 day at a time. Some days were 1 minute at a time. We can do anything for just 1 minute. I just want you to know that research shows that parenting does matter, and you are making a difference. Now it's time for the Adventure Challenge. The Adventure Challenge is when we challenge you to take a photo of your grands doing something and then send us the photo to our email address, which is located at the end of the video. We will post the photos on future episodes. Now, here are some photos of our grands and their safe environment. Stay tuned for the next episode of The Lowdown, when we will be discussing discipline and how much it's changed. Remember to like, share, and subscribe this channel. Don't forget to send in those photos.